For a long time, the college cheating scandal was the thing that stood out this entire time until CV came along. CV came along, and now the college cheating scandal seems so small now, don't it? Who knew that it would turn out this way? We heard about that. We also heard about these college students that look very much like the ones you're looking at, getting their papers done by people in Kenya. And they said that was happening in the UK and the US, paying people over in Kenya to write their papers for them. So much for that hard work. And I work hard for everything. Everything I got, I worked hard for. So much for that, right? Well, because of CV, y'all, colleges are canceling their usual graduations that you see every single year. Well, there won't be many this year. So colleges across the country have outright canceled graduations, such as Harvard and Miami University in Ohio have scheduled virtual ceremonies. Some students have taken things into their own hands and created their own ceremonies on a reconstructed campus through Minecraft. Still others, like Trinity Washington University, a small private school in Washington, D.C., has said it's looking for a date in June to reschedule an in person ceremony. I don't think that's going to come to pass as long as this thing is active. We have seen good examples of what happens when people try to gather in public or gather together, just like the Washington Mass Choir. 45 out of 60 people got CV just from that one rehearsal. People that went to those beaches, some of them are showing up positive for CV. That's what public gatherings have done over these past few days. So, hey, you can set this for June, but there's always that possibility you'll have to cancel. If we can't do it in June, we are very committed to doing a commencement ceremony, um, full pomp and circumstance, said Patricia McGuire, president of Trinity. When we get to do it, it's going to be the biggest darn party we've ever had. See, that's what y'all think about all the time. We're in the middle of a pandemic and this is what's on your mind. Wow. When Sandra Mendez, who's set to graduate from Trinity this May, heard the news about postponing graduation, she was heartbroken. I have been waiting for this since I was little. Well, it's a pandemic going on. Wow. Now I see why these folks keep getting it. Look at their mindset. How about let's focus on the country getting better first. Once everybody gets better and this thing subside, then we can think about graduation. You can see we are in the middle of a pandemic and these folks can't do nothing but think about themselves. Usual thing we have been seeing forever. For Mendez, graduating from college wasn't always a sure thing. After high school, she took some time off before heading to college in Wisconsin. She stayed for 2 years, then moved back home to North Carolina. I was going to give up on school altogether just because it was way expensive, she said. But a scholarship paved the way for her to start at Trinity 3 years ago, and now she got enough credits to graduate with a degree in biology. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the med students, the ones that were becoming doctors and nurses, they're grabbing them up right now. before they're even graduating because there's such a shortage of doctors and nurses. They are graduating, they're grabbing those folks up before they're even graduating now, which makes sense. Her family was planning to finally visit the campus for her graduation ceremony and said instead their travel plans are canceled. And it's just talking about she got a part-time job at Trader Joe's and talking about how devastated their parents were. Well, again, you know, your mind should be on everybody getting better so that you can get back to normal. But instead of that, I can't do this and I can't do that. And we're devastated and I can't. It's all about themselves. It's all about themselves. But aren't these the same people that want you to know how patriotic they are and how they want America first and blah, blah, blah? And you see, it's really all about themselves. Okay. So many of these students, I mean, is not the only student, but many students, including the high school graduations, they're going to have to be canceled. You're in the middle of a pandemic. Nothing has been resolved. This thing is still spreading all over the place. Gathering together to do any ceremony should be the last thing on your mind, especially with the potential of people getting sick. Because, look at graduations in general. Your family comes, you have a lot of children there, elderly people that want to see their grandchildren graduate. And those are what you say are the vulnerable people. Why would you want to subject them to that if you really care about them? So, ladies and gentlemen, until this thing gets resolved, all of these public gatherings, just like they told you weeks ago, will have to be canceled. They don't want any gatherings in my state of more than 10 people, you know? And it was a few weeks ago I read about how funerals are done. If you are not an immediate family member of the person that died, son, daughter, you know, or husband, wife, you can't even go to the funeral. You can't go. And if you are there, you're not even allowed to get out of your car at the cemetery. You got to watch the burial from your car. The only ones that are allowed to be in the cemetery standing around the grave are the workers. That's it. And it's common sense anyway. If you can't dine in a restaurant, of course you can't gather for a graduation. That usually draws thousands of people. So, no, it makes sense that you can't do that. I know this is a hard pill to swallow. People in this society have been very pampered, not all, but some. And they want to continue to feel pampered, even when it's very clear that things have changed dramatically over the past month. And it's going to change even more dramatically in April. I mean, look, they're telling you they're anticipating anywhere from 100,000, which is the minimum number they're giving you, of deaths that are coming in the United States, all the way up to 250,000 people possibly. And it could exceed that number depending on how bad this thing continues to spread. And I looked at the numbers. The United States is still leading the entire world in the number of cases in the country. And I see that Africa is actually sending medical supplies that the United States need. The shithole country? Yeah, they're actually sending something that the United States don't have. Masks and gloves. Imagine that. Who knew that day was coming? But it's here. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.